We're at the 4-6's supply house where you get all your gear. There is nothing out here. We're in the middle of frickin' nowhere, but we're excited to get over to the ranch. If you want to spin around here real quick, you can see there's one of the main barns of the ranch way down over there, and that's where a lot of the filming of this 666, 4-6s, and a lot of filming in Yellowstone. So we're pretty excited to get out here and check out the historical value of this place. Let's jump in the vehicle and learn some stuff.
Here's a looky-loo here, taking a picture. So we have the horse division side and we have the cattle division side of the ranch here.
And you guys have some legendary quarter horse bloodlines
Yes.
here. Not only working horses, but some show horses too, and some
Performance horse. 3 full-time veterinarians that are on staff there.
Wow.
That are treating the public's animals. But the main thing is it is a breeding facility, and we do that by artificial insemination. So there's a lot of science that goes on there. But when it comes to production and genetics, we're pretty state-of-the-art and ahead of the game on everything. And that was a significant stallion back in the 70s named Dash for Cash. This road is actually called Dash for Cash Road.
I've heard of that horse.
And now you have this large indoor riding arena out here. That's a fairly recent build. It's just been here for a few years or so. But really the biggest thing that happens here is our annual horse sale.
And you're not coming here with $2,500 to buy a horse.
No, typically it's going to be a little bit more than that. So you'll see some tan homes here. There were some around the supply house. Those are all ranch employee homes. They'll have their own cook because we don't have restaurants anywhere around here. We also don't have time to run home and cook either, so we're all working. So we have a angel woman named Miss Susie that cooks for about 45 mouths a day, twice a day for breakfast and lunch. So we'll actually come back here to the back end of the clinic.
Now let us know when it's not okay to take photos.
At this point, I would say you probably need to
How and if the ranch has changed since Taylor Sheridan and the group came in?
It's okay.
Well, I wanted to ask her first if it was okay.
Yes, but I'll actually be explaining about that later.
And I'll wait.
This barn right here it's a pretty neat barn. Clearly people like to, it catches people's attention whenever they drive by, the impressiveness of it. So in 1964 it was built. It's built just like a race barn, but of course we're not in the racing industry anymore. You can come up here and get a view of the great expanse that we have out here. And it's pretty untouched, except still pretty much you can get the feel for what it would have been like back then.
God, this is huge. Look at how much frickin' land this is as far as we can see. It's just hard to imagine that as far as you can see, all the way around is one ranch. It's incredible, actually.
Guess what movie was made about this story with the Indian and the guy?
Parker. And that Cynthia Ann Parker I was talking about, it's a movie.
I know the name of it.
An old movie.
Actually, I just found out, but it's one of my favorite movies. It's The Searchers with John Wayne.
John Wayne movie is written.
I don't know if I've ever seen that
Well,
one.
you need
So
to. It's a great
that's based
movie
off of that
before you know
Cynthia
this
Ann
story. And
Parker.
it's gonna
The
be great
Searchers?
when I watch it.
Searchers? Wow.
It's a pretty tragic story, actually.
I'm going to have to watch that.
And then Taylor's actually, I believe, I'm not sure, but I read that's in the works of one of his projects is a book called The Empire of the Summer Moon. It's a Pulitzer-winning book that was written about Quanah. I have a hard time reading it. It's very brutal, but really accurate to what happened. And he's actually going to be making a movie on that book. So
That's a busy guy.
Taylor responded, well, with the cattle that you have here, the genetics and the amount of cattle that you have here, I'm surprised you don't have a branded beef program. I think that it needs a branded beef program. And that's our direct-to-consumer beef program where you can order our beef online. That, along with his experience and his passion, but Taylor has done an incredible job of being able to think outside the box and being able to create the revenue that is needed to make this ranch work on all levels, on all the different moving pieces, to where no one has lost a position here. Every single one of those jobs are still intact. Everything's producing. We have the direct-to-consumer beef program. We have our breeding program that is not only thriving, but Taylor's also uniting that industry as a whole. So all these different stallion owners, we have relationships with all those stallion owners. Relationship is the most important part of this business. That's why Burke did
Deer
so
all over
well.
the place out here.
like that. So he's bringing the industry together. He's promoting the industry. So the whole industry, as far as cutting and reining, it's actually being fueled back up to his platform. He's promoting it. He's bringing it back to life, which is a good thing for everybody, not just this ranch. Now, Joe and Taylor, anybody would tell you Yellowstone is a dramatized show. We are nothing like Yellowstone characters. Actually, we're 100% opposite of them. And that's what Taylor cherishes, the integrity that we hold. And we're real. Our neighbors at the Pitchfork is real. Tongue River is real. Wagner Ranch is real. And it's a real way of life. And that is what Taylor is ultimately trying to keep together. But we do have 2 restaurants. We have one restaurant in the Wynn Casino in Las Vegas, and then we also serve our beef in the Cattleman's Steakhouse in the Fort Worth Stockyards. So we have beef being put out there. Of course, we have these new products that we partner with these different companies to brand and also sell products. But again, our way of life here in Guthrie, Texas hasn't changed. Other than the amount of visitors that come to the supply house, the cowboys, all employees that work here, really hasn't changed. He's really smart at how he does that, because he can make it happen out there, but we're not actually affected by it. It's pretty smart. And then I get the opportunity to actually get to tell people about who we are and what we do. But that answers your question. Not a lot has changed since he owned the ranch, outside of, the business that we're doing is producing very well. The desire is to preserve this ranch, preserve the history that I told y'all about, but I'll do everything that he can to make sure that it stays like it is. Actually wants to pass it down, done. And so that's that goal right there.
Very impressive.
Yeah. So we'll go into our little town and how kind of it is that he really is, is special about us out here in the middle of nowhere. If this overpass to the left, you're going to see a lot of brands. They're actually pretty repetitive, but unique to this area. But a lot of these brands are our neighbors. We're unincorporated, so we do not have an official population count here. I would guess around 150 or so actually live in this town. It's the county seat to King County. But we're the second least populated county in the state of Texas, and we're the 3rd least populated in the United States. Wow. So not a lot going on in Guthrie, Texas. Our 6-man football field, that's where we are all at in the fall, because of course we don't have a restaurant within 30 miles of here, so the concession stand is the closest thing that we have to a restaurant. And same thing with basketball games. It's basketball season right now, so if there's a home game, that's for dinner. And then that's our school up on the hill there. It is K through 12th grade from the whole county. So all the different surrounding ranches. My oldest daughter graduated in May, was 7 in her graduating class.
Dang.
My graduating class had almost 900 kids in it.
Totally different.
5 times the population of the whole town.
And the supply house here, this was built right whenever Burke settled here in 1900. It is the only thing we have. Downtown Guthrie, I guess. That he built that so that his employees wouldn't have to go very far. Because for us, it takes an hour and a half to get, 90 miles. Them, it took a whole day to get 30 miles. And so he wanted to make sure that they had what they needed available to them. And whenever he came to stay, of course, his residence was actually Fort Worth. The always lived in Fort Worth, and they would just come to visit. When he would visit, he always just stayed in the back of the supply house. He didn't care. He was just an old cowboy. But because of all those important business relationships I talked to y'all about, and even one of his good friends, Teddy Roosevelt, wanting to come and visit and see this impressive 4-6's ranch, in 1917, he decided that he needed to build a place to be able to host visitors when they come to visit. So at that time, he had what's known as the Big House built. It's a 13-bedroom house. About over 13,000 feet, but it cost $100,000 a time to build it. He did want it to be the most impressive ranch house in West Texas. So we can get out here and kind of walk along with it. You know, they did discover oil on the ranch in 1922. And so he built this, he found the oil. This was all built off of what all he had attained and acquired in his life. He was 68 years old whenever he built this, or around 68 years old whenever he built this. So this was all what he had done in his life. Which again, thinking back,
What is $100,000 in 1917 worth today?
This with the
Period.
people or the TV people?
They do host things here.
Do they?
Yeah, it's kind of we don't.
2.464 million. Yep.
Well, equivalent.
That's the equivalent today money.
So here, you know, we don't have a lot here. We have one sheriff, one deputy. We're as close to Mayberry as you can get here. And so we're pretty simple. And really, we don't get all crazy when celebrities come. We just treat everybody like they're normal and want them to feel welcome. And this is pretty much a safe place. And but it is pretty neat, you know, whenever you're just kind of day to day. And then some pretty historic have stayed here over the years. And it's always been like that. Where, I mean, there have been multiple, not presidents stay here, but a few presidents have stayed here over the years. It's just special.
This is really cool. You've done your. This has been like. This has been fantastic. I mean, the history that we've. Imagine everybody out here is so grounded and wholesome. I mean, it's just time.
Not really Beth Dutton.
No, I don't think many are.
A lot of cowboy movies. My dad always watched cowboy movies, so I was educated well in all of those areas. I knew the Searchers whenever I came.
Well, there's not very many westerns that we haven't seen as a rancher, but I'm gonna have to look up the Searchers and check that out.
And then this tower back here, that was the original water supply for the house. Men that are employed here, which we don't actually have, but maybe two. Yeah, you're not going to find anybody out here.
From town to town.
Well, they're riding quarter horses in those too, but if you look at you want to see some of the ugliest horses ever put into film, the spaghetti westerns with Clint Eastwood. You know, where they did all the westerns, those are the ugliest U-neck horses. I mean, they're just so...
There is a difference, yeah, because Taylor will talk about filming. You know, he uses his own. The horses that they typically use are not good horses, and they're not trained well, and they don't look good. And so he actually uses his own horses within the filming because, for one thing, for his cast, they're actually on horses. They're actually riding horses, good horses. Where, you know, with other horses that in filming, they're not good horses, and so you don't typically see celebrities actually riding them.
Well, you look at the spaghetti westerns, okay? Every time they horse, that horse just, you know, and it's jittery, like Unforgiven, you know, with Clint Eastwood, get horse going. Well, then the horses are behind it and home. But look at the spaghetti westerns. Those horses are, you know, even when they're just walking out, they actually get them into a lope. These horses are just like, you know, they're just dukes and neck. Look at the and the front end horses, and then look at the neck on the horses in those spaghetti westerns. Big U-neck on them. Their heads are high. It's just a big. They're ugly horses. Where these are just, you can see how, you know, they have a shorter and they're just built. I mean, look at the front end of Sorrel horse right here. When this horse raises its head, I mean, that thing has got on it. These are beautiful horses. Look at the front end on that horse.
Yeah.
That horse right there is all power.
Yeah. Powerhouses.
Every horse will look the same to me until today. Now I'm seeing the difference. Like cutting horse.
I've always wanted to go to the Quarter Horse Hall of Fame in Amarillo and tour that. That's something on my bucket list.
Let's do that. We're into this stuff now.
You know, and I don't know. And I heard this, and I don't know how true it is, but just had the movie on the tip of my tongue. Kevin Costner, Dances with Wolves. I heard that he actually liked that buckskin horse so much in Dances with Wolves that he bought it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, the actors, they do with those horses that they're working on. So I am such a nerd over history. I just love this building.
Really?
But Big and Bradley was a 4/6 cowboy. And this is a picture inside the supply house. That was a whole room upstairs dedicated to the Marlboro Man.
I feel like I'm walking through a cowboy movie.
I know. Isn't this crazy?
This is Burke. He's the one that organized the whole hunt. This here, that's Quanah Parker. Remember that shift that I told you about? That's what I think
There's
happened
Teddy Roosevelt
through these
right there.
things. That's Teddy Roosevelt, Burke, Quanah Parker. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah.
Look at this. All right. Oh my, this is so cool.
It was him. At the time, do we get order in this territory? Hanging after hanging after hanging. Your job is to bring him in. My job is to string him up.
To have this much historical value right here.
This is like walking right
I mean,
into
this
Gunsmokers.
is room right here. Anybody who ever watched an old Western has seen this identical room. Hang 'em high. Yeah, I just watched it too. Bangin' Judge. Yeah, this is super cool. Lots of rustlers and horse thieves in there.
Have an incredible opportunity on this platform to be something special to a whole lot of people.
We had the best tour guide ever. If you are at all interested in Texas history, the 4-6s Ranch, Yellowstone, any of the Taylor Sheridan series, you have got to come to this. 4-6s Ranch. Please like and subscribe. Tell your friends about us. Tell your friends about this. This place, this tour was fantastic.